Sean, great to have you with us. Talk us through the latest in the offensive, if you can.
Yeah, good afternoon, Kamali. These street battles have been continuing through Gaza City. There's been like the centre of London. The Hamas have been conducting ambushes against the IDF. The IDF claim that they've actually managed to take out a Hamas stronghold. It's called Outpost 17. After a 10-hour battle, it was clearly conducted above and below the ground, not far from Jabalia. But the IDF also claimed that actually they've been discovered. They've killed one Hamas commander and also been discovering some weapons factories in civilian buildings, including one in a bedroom. Now, we've got to say that's been unverified at this stage. It's also worth pointing out that the exit routes at the moment out of north to south have been open for 5 days now. The Israelis claim that 50,000 people travelled south from northern Gaza yesterday. They're ostensibly travelling because they think they're going to have some sanctuary, but actually the airstrikes have been continuing apace in southern Gaza as the Israelis have picked out Hamas targets. And we've got a particular bit of footage about some of the explosions in southern Gaza, very, very close to a hospital. And I'd also point out, just before I came on set, the IDF are saying that they've killed 50 Hamas fighters in fighting just close to Shifa hospital, which they talked about only literally yesterday. They've also said they found a lot of documents, and it seems to have been a heartbeat of some of the Hamas military planning for the 7th of October. I'll bring you more of that next hour when we've got it.
Thank you for that, Sean. Now, any progress on the ceasefires? Mark Stone was saying there are talks in Qatar with Mossad and the head of the CIA. As I said, Mark Rutte of the Dutch PM has invited Mahmoud Abbas to the Netherlands to discuss, to try and bring about at least a pause in the fighting.
There's been lots of diplomatic activity around this because the humanitarian situation is spiralling out of control, the number of civilian casualties, and everybody's trying to find some way of resolving the conflict and try and back it off. Harsh reality is, though, that it's the only people who can actually do anything about it are Prime Minister Netanyahu. Now, earlier, President Biden had said earlier on this week that he was looking to try a 3-day pause in the fighting, ostensibly to talk about the hostages, but in reality, 10 US nationals are still unaccounted for. And at the time, Hamas had also said they were prepared to release 12 hostages, providing that actually the bombing and everything stopped. But the harsh reality is, behind the rhetoric, Prime Minister Netanyahu said that the only time he'll put a pause in is if all of the hostages are released, because it's not just foreign nationals, it's not just civilians, it's also Israeli military. And until that happens, despite whatever the rhetoric goes on, almost certainly the US are the only real voice of reason that potentially could cause any sort of change of heart of Prime Minister Netanyahu.
And finally then, are we seeing the beginning of the end of Hamas, do you think?
Well, the fighting is obviously pretty intense now, and whilst the IDF don't claim how much progress they're making in Gaza City, they are by far the predominant force, and there's an air of inevitability that they will eventually take the whole of Gaza City. But what's really interesting, if IDF their objective is to destroy Hamas, and this is them digging up and trying to destroy one of the tunnel networks, the harsh reality is that some of Hamas fighters will simply flee south, because then will deny Israel the chance to declare victory. And that will mean that to whatever happens in the conflict, eventually the IDF will return back to Israel, and Hamas will be able to resume its attacks at a time and place of its choosing. So the harsh reality of this is that whatever happens on the ground, and there's some massive destruction going on at the moment, you can't destroy an ideology, and it's almost certain that Hamas will live and continue to live in southern Gaza for now.